Well, we've been given the green light to head back to the office. But according to the results of a survey of 1,000 Australian office workers conducted by Citrix, Australian employees really aren't in a rush to do so, given the rising cost of fuel. Now, Martin Cregan, Managing Director of Citrix, joins us today to discuss these new findings into why Australians are resisting returning to the office. And it seems that they're based on the rising cost of living and also fuel. Good morning, Martin.
Good morning, Michael.
Now, a fascinating survey that you've done, 1,000 Australians. What was the number one point where they weren't in a rush to get back to the city?
The number one point was exactly what you just stated, Michael, which is the rising cost of the commute. And the number one area that they specifically pinpointed in that result was the rising cost of fuel and the rising cost of living. So workers are worried about it's costing me more, and if it's costing me more, then how do I get compensated for that cost?
Now, as well as the cost in monetary costs, fuel and wear and tear on the car, there's a huge cost time-wise as well, that we're paid for our time, but we don't get paid for that commute. How much of that played into it as well?
That was a big piece of it as well. And what Australian workers were saying in general through this survey, Michael, is they're saying that if our companies or our employers want us to come in, then there should be some form of compensation for compensating us to come into the office. So either a fuel levy to help them with the price of fuel or the rising cost of fuel, or maybe an increase in their wages or salary in general to help them cover the cost of commuting. So that is what we call real hard cost. The soft cost associated with the commute is exactly what you just touched on, which is, we're spending, and the average Australian worker is spending time, and that could be up to an hour, 30 minutes, an hour and a half, whatever it is, each way commuting to the office. And during that time, they're not being as productive as they could be by using technology to log in and start their workday. So that was absolutely a concern that came out on the survey.
Now, I read a recent stat from the City of Melbourne that their office space is still only at 36% occupancy. Do we see this changing anytime soon?
Interestingly enough, I think we're going to see more people coming into the office through hybrid work styles. But I think what we're going to see is that hybrid working is here to stay. So workers are going to come in, but they're going to come in 2 days a week or 3 days a week. So I think what we'll see is occupancy will rise on certain days with certain teams, et cetera. But then an average might be the 36% that you referred to, Michael. Mm-hmm. What our employers and our workers are saying is they want choice. They want to choose which days they can come into the office and which days they can work from home. They're saying they want the flexibility of being not only able to work from home, but work from anywhere. So they want to work at the cafe, or they want to work at their parents' house because they need to go look after their parents for a week, or whatever the scenario is. So they want choice, they want flexibility, and they want innovation. So what they're saying is, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Employee, can you please give me the innovation or the tools and processes that we need to be productive no matter where we work, so that we can log on and contribute to the actual goals of the business.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of work from home, as you can see in my office. Now, this has such huge ramifications in a societal way. This allows men more time with their families. It could increase equality in the home. It removes barriers for people with disabilities and regional workers. Why are we pushing to get back to the old way of doing things? Is it vested interests, do you think?
Yeah, I think there's differences between organizations. I've met a number of our customers and our partners over the last 3 to 6 months, and some of those folks are looking at mandates. Do they mandate that the employees need to come back to the office? Other industries, if you look at healthcare as an example, or those types of work environments, they have to go to the office. Their office is the hospital and so on. So they have to go to the office. But where it's available, what we're seeing is more organizations are leaning towards how do we actually enable our employees to work remotely. So hybrid work is definitely here to stay. And to your point, Michael, if you look at the benefits of hybrid work, they start to actually exponentially increase across the board. You mentioned, fathers and working from home and parental leave and, being more involved in the lives of the family and things of that nature. This is what hybrid work enables. And so if organizations and enterprises get this right, then they strike a balance between having our team in the office and then having our team at home. Another factor that you mentioned is you talked about occupancy and space. What we're seeing from talking to our customers and our partners, and many of our customers are in the office space environment. So they provide office space to organizations. And what they're saying is that we will continue to see that occupancy on certain days, as I mentioned before, will increase. But the reason why folks are coming into the office are different. And what they're seeing is that instead of the office being a destination where I'm going to go into an office, I'm going to go to a workstation and I'm going to sit down and work at a workstation in the office, they're seeing the offices being transformed into a collaboration zone. And what we're seeing is more of our partners and customers encouraging teams to come in. So, the sales team comes in one day, or maybe the marketing team comes in another day, or maybe they both come in the same day. And they're using the office as a collaboration hub so that folks can come in, they can collaborate, they can speak to one another, they can talk about projects, they can still get the productivity they need. And at the same time, have the opportunity to build culture and continue to build that culture in the company. So hybrid work is here to stay. And I think the trick of making it successful is giving folks that flexibility, choice, and innovation to basically be able to perform and produce and be productive through hybrid working.
Yeah, I think one of the most often cited reasons for people not finding engagement in their job is lack of autonomy and micromanagement. So this is exactly the problem that's removed. We've given people the ability. The whole water cooler talks and things, as you said, they're the 1 day a week or 2 days a week that you come in. But then to leave the water cooler and go back to your cubicle or your desk and sit in front of your laptop or PC, where does it matter where that laptop or PC is, whether it's at home or at the desk?
And that's absolutely what we're seeing. I think flexibility is the key. So nearly 2/3 of the workers that responded to the survey say that they want the flexibility of working from home. So that's something that's really important to them. However, more than 1/3 of them, up to almost 37%, almost 40%, they want to pick which days they work in the office, which days they work remotely. And then once again, almost 40% would consider leaving their job if they don't get that flexibility. So to your point, Michael, we have the technology, the tech and the innovation is there. What we need to do is now empower our employees to give them that choice where they want to work from, to give them the flexibility to do it. And as I mentioned, the tools of being able to give them the tools or technology so that they can work remotely. And from an enterprise or organizational perspective, we know that we're providing the security for them to work remotely as well, because that's really important. We need to make sure that they're operating in a secure manner as they work remotely.
Great. We've heard a lot about the Great Resignation. I prefer to call it the Great Realization. So a lot of what we considered normal should never have been considered normal. It should have been said it's usual. Well, it was usual to travel 2 hours a day to get to work, but it should never have been considered normal.
No, absolutely. And the opportunity for businesses right now, Michael, is to embrace that flexible work model, the technology and the policies to accommodate the demands of the workforce and empower their people to do their best work regardless of location. And that comes back to exactly what you were saying. It's what's normal, what's useful, and so on. It's really interesting to see how workers are now saying that they want that flexibility and they're willing to leave an organization if they don't get it. So from an employee retention and employee acquisition or talent acquisition point of view, we want to make sure from an enterprise point of view that we're doing all we can to get the best talent and to retain the best talent. In addition, we're seeing. Sorry, Michael.
No, go on.
In addition, we're seeing the born digitals or the millennials, as they're referred to prior, coming into the workforce. As they're coming into the workforce, almost 2/3 of them are saying that flexibility is a key element of where they're going to work and how they're going to work. In fact, we call this new concept motivation 3.0. So where you and I, or maybe somebody in my age group, I'll say, might have been motivated by different factors when I entered the workforce, 30, 40 years ago. Those motivations have changed, and they've changed from, package-based, salary-based, or is this a company or organization that I can work at for the next 20 or 30 years? Their motivations have changed from that to, am I going to get the flexibility that I need to work from home, work from the office, work from, another location? Am I going to get the choice on which days I can come in and which days I can work from home? And am I going to get the innovation or tech to be able to work from home and do that in a secure manner?
Well, it's a brave new world, Martin. So fascinating times, and good luck with everything.
Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate the time.
Thanks, Martin.